Out in the desert, the black smoke was now rising into the air, more ferocious than ever. It looked like a signal was being cast, and could probably now be seen for miles out in all directions. Although Ben had told his friend to go ahead and run away, they both stood there. As the Dalki got out of the ship, they felt like their eyes couldn't leave such a powerful being for even a second. As Ben looked at the Dalki, he noticed that it had a single spike coming from the back of its spine. This was good news, as they had learnt the fewer spikes they had meant, the weaker they were. "Maybe we have a chance," Ben shouted. "It's too late to run now, but if we face it together." Ben reached for the club on his back and pulled it out. "Are you ready, Hugo?" he asked. After asking his question, no words were heard, and a few seconds later, a thud sound was heard. As he turned his head, he could see his friend's body lying there in the sand, dead. Ben didn't even know what happened. Out of fear, he charged in with his club held in his hand and used all his strength to smash down at the beast. But with a single hand, the Dalki grabbed the club and then crushed it to pieces. "This place stinks," Dalki said. The two girls continued to walk through the desert. "Wait up! Aaron, slow down! It's really hot out here," Layla complained. "I can't let them take our crystals. If they hand them in and we lose our points, then that means we could lose our place at number 1. So what? It's not worth risking our lives over. Even without those, we should still get a pretty good position. Why do you need to be number 1 so much?" For the first time, Erin had paused and stood still in the sand. Her fist was clenched, and just as she was about to say something, she bit her lip to stop herself. "Come on, we're not too far off." By now, the black smoke had covered most of the view in front of them. There weren't a lot of things that could be caught on fire, so just what on earth was making that much smoke, Layla thought. Then, as they were walking, Layla suddenly sped up as she spotted what looked like a small black spot in the sky. As it got closer, she noticed it looked ball-shaped and saw that something was dripping from the bottom of it. "Hey, what is that?" Layla asked. "I don't know. It might be someone's ability or something," Aaron replied. "Maybe you can catch it." Finally, when it was a few meters in the air, Layla managed to stop it and slowly brought it over to their location. But a few seconds later, she forgot about everything and immediately dropped the object onto the floor. A thumping sound was heard, and it rolled onto the sand towards them. With it, a trail of red was sinking into the sand. "That was a head," Layla said with her voice all shaky. "I'm not seeing things right. It was a head? Was it a beast? Or maybe something else even? It could even have something to do with the black smoke," Aaron said calmly. "How are you not affected by this?" "Our lives are worth more than some stupid crystals," shouted Layla. "Let's get back to the well and tell the others." But Aaron stood there deep in thought. "If it's an intermediate beast and I use my full strength, I should still be able to take it out," she thought. But then, in the distance, a tall figure could be seen coming towards them. Its tail slowly moved to the left and right. "What is that?" Layla asked. For the first time, Aaron didn't seem like her confident self. However, right now she is different. She had crossed her arms over her body, hugging herself and shivering in the desert heat. "Mommy, please save me," she said ever so quietly. Now that the creature was even closer, Layla could finally see what Aaron could see. It was a Dalki, but it wasn't alone. As it walked, it seemed to be dragging something along with it. "Oh, is that another 2 I see?" the Dalki said. He then looked at Ben's body, which he had been dragging with him. It now had no head, but the rest of its limbs were still intact. He placed his foot on the body and pulled on the arm, ripping it from its socket. "It's a bit closer than last time, but it's not as easy to throw." The Dalki aimed at the two in front of it, leaned back, and speared the arm through the air. Seeing the arm coming towards them, Layla knew this one was too fast for her to slow down with her ability. They barely managed to dodge it, with Layla pulling Aaron away from the area. "Aaron, we're getting out of here." Drawing her hand back, she slapped Aaron across the face, leaving a red mark as she spoke. "Ice path." She created an ice path in front of her and then formed blades below her feet. "Do you know how to ice skate?" Aaron asked. "No." "Then hold on." Lifting Layla onto her back, Aaron started to skate down the ice path at amazing speed. Every time they would reach the end of the path, she would extend the ice in front of her. Those two girls were probably heading for the shelter. If so, it would be bad news if they warned everyone before I got there. I guess I better stop them. Unluckily for the two girls, if the Dalki knew they were not heading for the shelter, he perhaps would have left them on their own. Their destination was actually for the well, hoping to warn Vorden and the others.
Vorden was currently looking at Peter, who was bandaged from head to toe. The little droid had even performed stitches in areas that had an open wound. "Did we go too far?" Vorden said to himself. "Too far? Are you kidding me?" Rayton said. "You seem to be forgetting that this person sent us off to our death." "Rayton, don't you remember why we were created?" Vorden asked. "Perhaps Peter was going through something similar to Syl, and it was only thanks to us that Syl was able to cope with it all. Have some sympathy for Peter." Just then Peter started to move a little in his sleep, until eventually he opened up his eyes and slowly lifted the top half of his body off the ground. "I would move slowly if I were you," Vorden said. "I know you hate me, and you have every right to, but I feel like I need to get something off my chest," Peter said. Vorden continued to look away, avoiding eye contact. "I didn't choose the school or the bullies over you two like you might be thinking. I chose my family over you two. You see, I have an older sister, or maybe I should say, I had an older sister. She died on an expedition. It was a big shock to us all, but it was an even bigger shock for my parents. They told me not to worry, not to try and work hard like my sister, for fear I would perish as well." "Sounds like you had a good family," Vorden said. "You should have listened to them. Trust me, they are a lot happier with you alive." Peter then lifted himself from the ground and looked at Vorden. "I realized that, and that's why I said I picked my family over you guys, but then they started targeting me, threatening me on this expedition." "Was it Earl and his underlings?" Vorden asked. "No, I mean they were a part of it, but it was someone bigger, someone near the top." "Who? Peter, tell me. Was it one of the teachers, or even one of the sergeants maybe?" Peter paused for a second, as he was unsure whether he should tell Vorden or not. Vorden strangely looked at him. This made Peter feel scared and made him start to talk. "It was—" Before Peter could answer, "Vorden! Peter! Quinn!" Layla shouted at the top of her lungs. The two of them immediately headed outside and could see Layla being carried by Aaron, who ice-skated through the desert. "Are you okay?" Layla asked Aaron. "I just used up all my power. I don't think I can help in the fight," Aaron said. "What happened? Are you running from the people who stole our crystals?" Peter asked with a worried expression on his face. "No, it's a Dalki," Layla said. The fear was written on her face. Further in the desert, Quinn was plodding away in the loose sand, walking back towards the water well. "Long exposure to the sun has been confirmed. Your body has been weakened further. All stats will now be reduced by 80%. "What is this?" Quinn shouted. 80%? At that moment, Quinn had fallen to his knees as his whole body gradually started to feel weaker. "What is happening to me? System, help! Please explain!" Quinn shouted to himself. Skill-activated shadow cloak. The shadow at the bottom of his feet began to slowly surround him. He became like a human figure made out of shadows. Stats have returned to normal. His MC points hadn't fully recovered. Quinn wasn't bothered about this. Aaron and Vorden could protect him until his MC points fully recovered. "A Dalki, are you sure?" Vorden asked. They suddenly saw a black figure flying in the sky. It was coming in their direction. It crashed into the large metal machinery, causing it to break apart. The Dalki standing right in the middle of the wreckage could be seen. "You should tell me where the shelter is. Now," Dalki said, pointing to the piece of scrap metal beside Layla. "Me?" she stammered. "It's over there," she pointed. "Thank you, but I'm afraid no one can know that I was here." He then straightened the piece of metal in his hands with his claws. Then, using his fingertips, he sliced the top half of it to create a makeshift spear. "I must not fail my mission," he says as he chucked the spear toward the students. Vorden immediately arrived in front of the group and conjured an ice barrier. "No, that won't be enough," Aaron said while still lying on the ground. She then lifted her hand and helped Vorden cast another wall behind it, making it as thick as possible, using the last bits of her power. "I need to help," Layla thought, as she focused her mind, doing her best to slow down the spear's movements. Also, Peter rushed forward to where the ice wall was. "Peter, what are you doing? Watch out!" Vorden shouted. "I can help too," Peter shouted back. Peter placed both of his hands on the ground, and in that spot, a piece of earth started to slowly rise, eventually creating a third barrier. Then finally, the spear had stopped moving. Oh, perhaps we need to start waging this war again before you Earthlings grow even stronger. Syl, we need your help now, Vorden said. No, Syl shouted back. If you don't, we will all die. You said you would take me to see Quinn. I don't even see any Quinn around here. Why would you lie to me? Syl asked. Just ignore the brat, Rayton said. Let me take over. We don't have time. Vorden immediately left the chair and allowed Rayton to take over. The Dalki then rushed forward, and at that moment, Rayton placed both of his hands on the ground, and a trail of ice materialized, heading straight for the Dalki's feet. Hey, ugly! Rayton shouted at the Dalki in an attempt to provoke it. When that ugly thing stops moving, fire all the arrows you have at it, he shouted to Layla. In the end, she aimed the arrow to go directly into the Dalki's thigh. However, the arrow simply bounced off, not even leaving a scratch on it. Damn it, Rayton shouted. Let's have some lizard barbecue. Using both of his palms, he fired a huge stream of fire toward the lizard. But then, the intensity of the flames started to decrease at an alarming rate, as if they were being sucked away by something. All of the flames were flowing towards the Dalki like it was a vacuum, traveling in one stream directly towards the Dalki's mouth. Thank you for the meal, it said. I haven't had anything this tasty in years. It's hopeless, Aaron said. It's too strong. We're all going to die. Skill-activated Shadow Void. The area around them started to be encased in a dark shadow. Is this the Dalki's power? Layla asked. The Dalki himself was equally confused as them. Just what was it that was surrounding the entire area with them in it?
The black shadow started to surround all of them. It slowly encased the group until finally the whole area around them was filled with purple shadows. But then Aaron noticed that the Dalki was also looking around in confusion at the shadows as if it was something unknown to it. Then from behind a claw-like shape of red lines came flying toward the Dalki. It turned around. Sensing the power of the attack, it lifted both of its arms to protect itself, and it placed its arms in an X shape right in front of its face. Just as it was about to look up, 4 more of the same attack came at it. Although the attacks didn't hurt the Dalki, for the first time in a long while, it had been pushed back from its position by an attack. As soon as Quinn had released his first attack, his shadow cloak had disappeared, and this had revealed him to everyone. The problem was he was low on MC points. He only had 30 of his MC points left, and he needed to use them wisely. Then Aaron spotted Quinn's watch. To her surprise, it currently displayed the number 6. Was he hiding his strength the whole time? She shouted. He must have had his reasons, Layla said. How's the little one doing? Rayton asked. He's still sleeping, Vorden replied. So it looks like I'll have to deal with this one, Rayton said. The Dalki then went and picked up another piece of scrap metal from the ground that was part of the well's machinery. Let's see how strong you are, the Dalki shouted as he chucked the spear-like object towards Quinn. No, there's no way he can block that on his own, Layla said. Peter stayed by Aaron's side while Vorden and Layla rushed towards Quinn. Shadow control. Using his shadow control skill, Quinn was able to create a black circular shield. But for Vorden, seeing Quinn's action made something click in his head. The spear flew, going at lightning speed, until the tip had touched the black circular shadow. At that moment, the spear looked like it had stopped in midair. Once the spear slowed, Quinn moved to the side. He took the shadow away and allowed the spear to continue moving forward and out of the shadow void. This is perfect, Vorden said. Quinn, as a vampire, was the perfect counter to the Dalki. Vorden threw an ice spear at the Dalki. It shattered into a million pieces once it hit the Dalki's body. However, it did catch Dalki's attention, which was what Vorden was aiming for. You are boring, the Dalki said. I'm far more interested in that one. Hey, brat, Vorden shouted. Its skin is too tough. Use an attack that can hurt it on the inside. On the inside? Quinn thought. When the Dalki was a few meters away, it leapt up into the air with its claws out, and with both of its hands above its head, ready to smash down. MC 20 of 100. The Dalki could feel its attack slowing down as soon as it touched the strange, shadow-like substance, but by using its considerable strength, it was able to pull its hands from the shadow. MC 10 of 100. His attacks are so strong, I can only take one more, Quinn thought. As the Dalki threw another punch towards him, Quinn moved the shadow and wrapped it around the Dalki's fist. MC 0 of 100. Quinn could see the Dalki's other hand coming straight at him. He looked the Dalki in the eyes. Skill days. Days successful, your opponent has been stunned.
He stepped behind the Dalki and prepared all the motions for the hammer strike. He added blood spray to the last part, turning it into the most powerful attack he had, a blood hammer. The Dalki still hadn't moved from his spot, but after a few seconds, he fell on one knee. This was Quinn's answer, an internal attack. When Quinn thought everything was over, a large fist had come out of nowhere, swinging out and hitting him right in the ribs, sending him flying through the air. Critical hit! Your ribs have been broken. The Dalki stood up from the ground and smiled, wiping away the green blood from its mouth. I'm not done with you yet, boy. As Quinn hit the building, his body crashed through the wall, and he fell to the floor. Now that was impressive, the Dalki said with a smile on his face. Did you know the more a Dalki gets hurt, the stronger they get? When the Dalki tried to take another step forward, it felt something akin to a force field that was pulling him back and slowing him down. Syl had taken over. Are you trying to take Quinn away from me? He yelled. You Earthlings are nothing like we were told, and you're not even adults, you're just students, the Dalki said. The whole situation was filling the battle-crazy Dalki with happiness. At that moment, Quinn was just lifting himself off the ground. 100 millimeters of blood used. Blood bank is now empty. Vorden, how long do you think you can hold him? Layla asked. At the same time, she saw Quinn lifting himself off the ground and the sun continuing to set behind him. Even if it turns to night, how is Quinn going to be able to fight such a thing? It's just too strong, Layla thought. Then she seemed to recall something Quinn had told her in the past, that he seemed to get stronger with each person's blood he drank. The next thing Layla did, she grabbed one of the arrows from her quiver and used the tip to make a small cut on the palm of Aaron's hands. Then, using the bowl of ice, she allowed the blood to drip into it. Once there was a good amount of blood, she continued to do the same using her blood. Next up was Peter. The Dalki continued to move towards them, and the sweat was running down Syl's face. The stupid dinosaur is strong, Syl said to Vorden and Rayton. Suddenly, Layla appeared by his side. She created a small cut on the back of Vorden's leg. When the bowl was finally full, she started to make her way towards Quinn. Just what is that girl doing? The Dalki thought. Here, drink this, Layla said as she handed over the bowl full of blood. He took the bowl and gulped it down in one go. 65 of 65 HP. Blood bank has been filled. 2 points have been added into agility. 1 free stat point has been added. You are no longer affected by sunlight. All stats have returned to normal. After consuming the blood in the bowl, Quinn felt like a whole new person. I can't hold on any longer, I'm too tired, Syl whined. The struggle against the Dalki was too much for him. He wasn't fighting obsessed like Rayton, so he gave up control and left Vorden in charge once again. The Dalki could suddenly move 1 foot in front of the other again. The amount of force it felt being exerted on itself was like nothing compared to before. Quinn, seeing this happen, knew he was in trouble. He put the free stat point into agility without hesitation. It now brought his agility stat up to a total of 23. Then, using all the speed he could and activating his boot's wind walk ability, he rushed over to where the Dalki was. Moving at an incredible speed, Quinn managed to cover the distance from the building to where the others were in only a few seconds. As soon as he was in range, he cast another blood swipe. The attack ripped through the sand and was heading straight for his target. The Dalki pulled his head back at the last second, and the attack skimmed right past its nose. But how is this possible? I'm certain you should be at the death's door by now, the Dalki said. The Dalki charged towards him. A swing made its way to his head. Quinn ducked down and threw out a punch, performing blood spray at the same time, taking advantage of the close range. 60 of 65 HP. The fight continued in this fashion, with Quinn avoiding each of the Dalki's attacks, and whenever it would get too close, he would use his blood abilities to push it away. 48 of 65 HP. Quinn had to be sure not to get a hit from the Dalki. Another claw was coming at him, and it looked like he was about to get hit. He had no choice but to perform the flash step and appear directly behind the Dalki. Damn, I can only use the flash step one more time, Quinn thought. But the Dalki was getting equally frustrated. You little Keenan, I will squash you. It lifted both fists and smashed them into the ground. It didn't seem like an attack made to hurt anyone. The rocks just lifted into the air and quickly fell back to the floor. It was just a way for it to let out a little bit of frustration. Quinn had taken a few steps back away from the Dalki and quickly opened up his status screen. MC points 40 of 100. This was what Quinn was waiting for. He was waiting for his MC points to return so he could use the shadow ability again. The Dalki was surprised to see that Quinn was the one coming towards it.
So you finally decided to attack, I see, it shouted. Quinn flung his hand out with his fingers held together, casting a single red line of aura. Then, before it could move away from him, the shadow underneath his feet started to move. The shadow reached out and grabbed the blood aura, holding it in place, and now the other end of the shadow was attached to Quinn's hand. The two opponents were still quite a distance away from each other, but Quinn still swung out the shadow side. Seeing this, the Dalki wasn't afraid. It was slightly confused, actually, as the scythe would be able to reach him. Suddenly, as the scythe was swung outwards, it seemed like it was starting to extend. With Quinn's new attack, combining his shadow control with the blood swipe, hit the Dalki's body. 47 of 65 HP, 35 of 100 MC. The Dalki's blood continued to drip from its side and fall into the sand, but now the spike on its back was pulsating faster and glowing brighter. Seeing the Dalki injured and bleeding made Quinn feel excited. He charged forward once again. "Come on, attack me again," the Dalki shouted. And Quinn did just that. The attack was a success, and it caused the Dalki to fall onto the ground. Its forearms were dripping with green blood, but it ignored its wounds. It just stood up once again and charged forward. At this point, even Quinn was starting to worry. He went to attack once again with his shadow scythe. Only this time the Dalki managed to jump and avoid the blow. "Did it just get faster?" Quinn said. "You seem to have forgotten," the Dalki said. "I told you already, the more we are hurt, the stronger we become." "I can't win," Quinn said. "Even with my full power, it's still too strong." "Snap out of it, Quinn," the system shouted in his head. "You only became a vampire a couple of weeks ago, and you think you can already take out an enemy like this? You will grow in due time, but the important thing right now is to survive." "I can do this! I have to do this!" Quinn shouted. Running forward and not changing his direction, he went straight ahead. Then, just as the Dalki was prepared to attack, flash step! He used his skill, allowing him to avoid the strike and go right past the Dalki. "What is he doing?" Layla thought. "Should we run? Is that why he's coming towards us?" "I need blood!" Quinn yelled. "I can't fight the Dalki like this. I need more blood!" Layla didn't ask any questions and immediately started to make another cut on the palm of her hand, and Aaron had already formed another ice bowl. But when they all looked up, their faces had dropped entirely, for the Dalki was already right behind Quinn. Not only had its strength gotten higher, but so had its speed. Everything about the Dalki had improved. It was too late for Quinn to notice, and the Dalki was already mid-attack. The fist flew forward and penetrated right through flesh and bone, going straight through his body and out to the other side. Bright red blood could be seen dripping onto the ground with a fist through his body, but it wasn't Quinn's body that was penetrated. The person who had been hit was Peter. "Quinn," Peter said weakly, coughing out blood that filled his mouth. "Please, forgive me." His body fell to the ground and hit the soft sand. His blood continued to soak the sand, turning it red. At the moment Quinn needed help the most, the only one brave enough to step up and come to Quinn's side was Peter. However, it came at a terrible price.
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.